went from having a fat ass house. I had to downsize to an apartment because I had to make that YouTube money stretch. This is when I was like shitting on 9 to 5s. I told myself I would never get a 9 to 5 because I was making so much bread on YouTube. I'm like, hell nah, 9 to 5 not for me. Like, I'm not working no job. Hell nah, I just graduated high school. I'm not going to college. I don't need college. I'm making 15, 20K a month. Let's really get into it. Cause y'all know the internet is talking. The internet is talking. So yes, I went broke for maybe a year and a half. Because that happened to me. So here I am. I ain't went to college. I wasn't working a job. I'm depending on 2K a month off YouTube because that was the only bread I had after they snatched my money away. So do y'all see how that can like really fuck up somebody's life? Like, they took the money away. So literally my revenue on YouTube went from 15K to 2K, bruh.
I'm a multiple Grammy award winning artist with multiple number ones and multiple platinum plaques, soon to be diamond plaque. And yet there are still people who don't even know I dropped music. It's because the way that the algorithm is set up, no one can serve the masses anymore. The internet space wasn't so congested. There was a clear channel back in the day for major artists to put their music out and serve the masses. Now you have to serve your people. I started a private page just for my fans, Lizzo IRL, and it has been one of the most incredible experiences for me as an artist. It gives me an opportunity to talk to my fans one-on-one and give them the exclusives, share music with them, share my deep thoughts with them. My deep thoughts are not on my main page anymore. And that allows me to have a dialogue with the people who actually give a fuck about me.
Posting on social media has become humiliating. It has been described as a humiliation ritual. People also, as of late, have been talking about the monitoring spirits. That's the idea that when you post, there are a lot of people looking at your post, but not engaging, not saying anything, not liking, not commenting. And I wanted to make a video about this, and I couldn't think of another way to describe it than the dark side of social media, or I think I'm calling this the dark side of YouTube. I have a media consulting business where I do coaching and consulting. If you want to get started and grow on YouTube, you're in the right place. So there's been a lot going on. One of the things that YouTubers have been talking about is views being down on the platform. So there's a lot of big creators who've been making videos saying that they have been getting a significantly less amount of views than they normally get. A lot of creators who have extremely high subscriber counts, not all, but some, it is because there was a time in our American history around 2020. I'm not going to say those words. I think I can say pandemic now, but during that time, a lot of people experienced a lot of growth on social media. I was not part of that. I was just trying to get by day to day. I hadn't yet started my YouTube channel, but so a lot of times when you see creators, this is not in all cases, but some creators have an insane amount of subscribers, 300K, 500K, etc. Some of these folks started their channels or got serious about their channels during the pandemic. And now a lot of these creators are not seeing and experiencing the same level of growth, the same level of engagement, because life is back to normal and things are business as usual. I made a couple of videos about DoDash, and I haven't really been following what's been going on with her as much lately. But one of the things I would say is you really, before quitting your day job, I would recommend being on YouTube for at least 3 years, at least. And I'm going to insert a screenshot from a different creator who talked about the progression on YouTube. Every year, you're going to experience something different. And I think it's to a degree somewhat irresponsible unless you have other ways of paying, your bills. It's irresponsible to jump ship, leave your day job, and then all of a sudden you realize that social media and the algorithm is volatile and not, certainly not linear. Your journey will not be linear on any platform. So I'm going to give you the opposite advice that DoDash gives. Keep that day job and give it a few years to see how things are. Because even me, when I made my video about Serena Williams not long ago, I lost some subscribers. I have lost revenue. Certainly I was going viral on this platform for like 2 years straight. I had a video that was being viewed for like 2 years straight. And once those views stopped, my revenue also tanked. So you're just going to go through so many phases. And in many ways, almost like a relationship, you're going to have different cycles and different seasons. That's going to happen if you have a social media career. And it's very normal. But a lot of people can't take it. They get scared and they panic during those moments when things are not moving so quickly. And Lizzo has been putting us on game about a lot of things, not only in the music industry, which some of that stuff in the music industry is transferable over, in my opinion, to just media at large. She's been putting us on game about the music industry as well as social media.
Because with this algorithm, just putting your music out 9 times out of 10 is not even going to reach your fan base. Think about the way this TikTok algorithm works. Look how many followers I have. Look how many followers you have. And when you post a video, how many of your followers actually see your video? Not that many, right? Because even though someone is following you, it's not guaranteed that they're going to see you on their FYP. And everyone uses their FYP. You, now more than ever, have an advantage over even major artists to get your music out there and connecting with people at a way quicker rate. Right now is the time to put yourself out there. I wouldn't even try to go the old school route and get signed. I would just make as much music as possible, as much content as possible, and put it on the internet. You can put your shit up there and overnight have when I don't want to use like it's the biggest streaming platform, and it's the quickest way to gain an audience. And this is why people were misunderstanding what I was saying. Like I'm blaming everything on the algorithm, but no. The algorithm is something that you can use to your advantage. It's the lottery, like it's Vegas. You throw something on the internet a certain amount of times, when that person rings that little bing bing bing, they see you. All of a sudden, they engage with you. All of a sudden, next year, you could be at the Grammys.
One of the reasons why, and I'm going to go back to Lizzo in a second, but one of the reasons why you all have been seeing me come on camera, barefaced as I am today, has a lot to do with where I am in my journey on YouTube. I can't necessarily say I would have had the same confidence level to do this a few years ago. But as you go along, you realize, again, a lot of this depends on what you're known for. So if people know you for the makeup and all the hair tutorials, then that's different. But because I am known more so for my insight on certain perspectives, me having to put on a full face of makeup and do all this extra stuff, I just realized it's actually taking away from the value that I want to give and that I want to bring. And it was making me produce less. So when I started to scale back and say, okay, I'm just going to film this barefaced, I'm able to actually give you more, put out more content. So I'm going to go back to Lizzo. I want to talk about Lizzo because she's been really speaking out lately. And I've been critical of Lizzo on my channel. But one thing I'll say is Lizzo is very talented. And to hear Lizzo talk the way she's been talking and to just expose so many things speaks volumes, because she's very accomplished despite the criticisms that I have had of her. But one thing I want to say before I talk about that is I want to highlight that the industry of social media has changed so much and is rapidly changing. And one of the examples is the influencer culture on, let's just go with Instagram, that so many women, especially Black women, because that's who I focus on, coveted these influencers, their lifestyles, their bodies, their fake boyfriends, their fake relationships. I know that there are real influencers who have real things, but a lot of the influencer lifestyle, the trips they would take and the designer clothes and the designer bags, all that people were coveting and putting on a pedestal. And a lot of that has been exposed as being fraudulent, as being fake. And so that in itself, and I think, you could find some of those videos on YouTube, on TikTok, even on Instagram, where people are just being exposed. This influencer was a fitness influencer and says she built her body from scratch, and come to find out she got multiple BBLs. This influencer, you see her taking trips, and come to find out she's going to Dubai, and no need to give you the specifics on that, but I think you get my point. And the question is, if you want to do this, can you sustain and withstand the storm, all the different seasons that you're going to go through? And the reality is that most people cannot, because most people, as I do, have lives, have jobs, have children, have husbands, wives, families, challenges in their life. It's very difficult to keep going. And then this is really what it means to be an entrepreneur, is what it means to be a business owner, which is why most businesses fail. I get it, and so how do you mitigate that? How do you take something like a social media career, or even a marriage, or whatever it is that has a high chance of failing? How do you take that and succeed and make it successful, or at least have a long stint, have a long run? One of the things I'm always reminded of is people oftentimes are not popular forever. Even if you look at a lot of singers and rappers and entertainers and actors, they have a time that they're really big and really known, and they're, everybody's talking about them, and unless you're an A-lister. But if you're not an A-lister, for the most part, you're going to have your time. You're going to have your season. And I think about my viral video and how much attention that brought to my channel, and it probably helped other pieces of content go viral, and it helped me make connections that I never thought I would make, and get to know people who I never thought would even, think twice about me and who I am. And, and then I have a lot of folks who are still here because I'm still making videos, and hopefully still providing value. But the reality of because this is considered to a degree entertainment, or maybe you can call it edutainment because I'm educating. But either way, a lot of times these types of jobs have a expiration date to a degree. And it doesn't have to, but what happens is that at some point you do question, is the work I'm putting in worth the value of what I'm getting back? So all the time and energy that I'm putting in, is it worth it? And if you can answer that question and say, yes, it is worth it. Maybe not necessarily monetarily. It might not always be worth it as far as the money, but maybe it's worth it because of other things. Like for me, my YouTube channel is intricately entwined into my business model. Okay. And if you want to know more about my business model, please do go into the description box and click the link to my website. And, you can go to the contact page, send me your information, and we can perhaps have a conversation about my business model if you're interested. But for me, if I stop doing YouTube, it will impact a lot of different things because I have created an ecosystem that starts off with, in many cases, people watching me on YouTube. So when I think of the answer to the question is it worth it? For me, it is still worth it. But I can also see at some point that answer being no. Because again, it's a lot of work. And the reality, and a lot of artists have been speaking out lately, a lot of musicians, especially with the rise of AI, they've been speaking out about not getting paid what they deserve because of streaming, and so just looking at the whole entertainment industry, not just social media, but social media, music, movies, whatever it is, podcasts, that whole world, everything is about streaming now. And it actually benefits the companies. Netflix benefits, YouTube benefits, because we don't get paid what we deserve. And there's a lot of artists who talk about prior to streaming, how they felt like they were compensated a little bit better, or maybe a lot better, but now that we have streaming, and this is, and again, I'm not trying to compare myself to, a big mega musician or artist, but it's on YouTube, all that's happening in the music industry. Let's go with an independent artist. To some extent, some of that stuff can be transferable to what's happening on YouTube if you're treating your YouTube channel like a business. And by that, I mean, just like music artists, let's just say an independent music artist like Maya gets paid for how many streams on Spotify, on YouTube, we are getting paid by views. And it's still, it's probably a different formula, but the same concept. And in a lot of cases, it comes down to many of us feeling like we're not getting what we deserve. And it definitely comes down to us looking at it like, wow, we see who's obviously benefiting, which is the company that we are using, in this case, YouTube, the company we're using to host our videos on, and the company that we're using to put our ideas on. So this is not to cause any blame, but it is to say a lot of artists right now are really, many artists are dissatisfied with the amount of money that they're getting, and they feel like it's just they feel like they're being ripped off, and they probably are being ripped off. But everybody is. And a lot of music artists are talking about how, they don't even really barely make money from streaming their music. They mainly make money from, doing shows, doing concerts, but the streaming is going to be such a small portion of their revenue. This is why you see folks taking brand deals, because trying to just get money from the streams or the Google AdSense in this case, now if you're going viral, it does seem like it's worth it. And believe me, I had a video that was going viral for a very long time. So I would open up the app and just see that I had money in it. And I'm like, oh, okay. But once that stops, once the virality dies down, and then you actually are like working for every video you put out, you can see the revenue going up a little bit, but not as much as the work that you put in. And so then you start questioning, is it worth it? And I think that for me, as I progress to year 4, year 5, year 6, I'm assuming every year I might feel a little bit differently about the answer to that question of, is it worth it?